Hello there, and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. This is season 16, episode 54. We are live with the guys from Stroom, Slava and Ros, and this is the show which asks the question that others don't even dare to ask. Guys, it's really good to have you. This is honestly the second time when we feature the Stroom Network on the show, and I guess we're gonna have basically a reflective approach, but first let's find out what Stroom is for those who did not listen to the episode 2 years ago.
Cool. Hey, everyone, and thank you, Vlad, for invitation. And so my name is Ross, and I'm co-founder of Stroom, and we're building a yield-bearing BTC protocol. Yeah, Slava, do you want to say something?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Slava. I'm CTO at Stroom Network. And as Ross said, we're building interest-bearing BTC.
So how does that work? You say interest. On your website, there's also the term yield and staking. These terms are, to some Puritans, antithetic to what Bitcoin is about. And you're doing this on Lightning. How does it work?
Yep, we launched a few months ago. So the first product is a kind of liquid staking on Lightning, because currently you can provide BTC to Lightning is liquidity in like an easy way. And we created the protocol when you can put your BTC, and we're using it via Lightning Network. We wrote in transactions and improve the network, improve the robustness of payments, the success rate of payments in the Lightning Network, and also take some fees for transaction routing. This is based on the architecture of the Lightning Network, and people can provide Bitcoins and earn some rewards coming from this transaction routing. And also our users have a liquid token, so we are working on integration of it to different DEXs, lending protocols, so users keep their deposited Bitcoins in a liquid form.
By liquid, you mean something that you can exchange. You don't mean liquid, the federation from Blockstream, right?
Yeah. I mean just like a receipt token for deposited BTC.
Okay, so to a lot of Bitcoiners, this is exactly what they hate. You have a token, you're staking, you have yield, but you're using the Lightning Network, and that's the confusing part, right?
Yeah. But the idea, this is just a liquid token for accountability. So if you provided some liquidity to the network, you need to have some receipt for this. So it's like a technical thing, and the main idea is just to make it transparent for the users for deposited liquidity and so on. And this integration is fully optional, and users can decide do they want to use them or not.
Yeah, I will ask you where the token is issued and how it works, but also need to give credit to Artem, who is the guy that I met last week during the Trezor launch event, and he's the one who's responsible for setting up this interview, and he did not join the call. So shout out to Artem. So where does this token come from? How did you issue it? Where can people see, for example, what's the total supply? What's the price of it? How it works?
So token is issued on Ethereum blockchain. However, technically it can be issued on any other chain, for example, Bitcoin L2, like BitVM-based blockchain L2s that are built by Citrea, Alpen Labs, and other very good teams. Currently we have it only on Ethereum, and it's kind of working like WBTC, which is like wrapped version of BTC. So basically, Bitcoins are stored in some custody. In our case, this custody is integrated with Lightning Network. So Bitcoins are stored not only just in custody, but in Lightning Network node. And these BTC are used to route payments in the Lightning Network. But in general, this token is one-to-one redeemable to Bitcoin, and this redeemability is currently it is supported by Custodian that we are working with.
Right, so for the average user, they're gonna be, if they want to use the Stroom network, they put their Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, they stake it with your network, and then they get this token that they can use for spending, which is supposedly pegged one-to-one with the Bitcoin that they staked. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so you kind of like send Bitcoins to our Lightning node that is stored in the Custodian setup. And those BTC are locked with Custodian. And if you redeem your Stroom BTC token back, so you can receive your Bitcoin back. But if you spend your Stroom BTC to, I don't know, sell it on DEX or whatever, so then you cannot redeem. So basically, the other guy who bought Stroom BTC from you, he can redeem the Stroom BTC back to Bitcoin.
Okay, so the incentive is for you to actually hold the Stroom BTC until you can get your BTC back at the end of your deposit period.
Yeah, sort of. But deposit period is actually determined by you because in Lightning Network, you can remove Bitcoin quickly by closing the channels. So it's not like very long process. Yeah, I think the main use case for this BTC is not to be sold on the DEXs, but the main use case that we see is that people want to use this Bitcoin as a collateral and borrow some stables and do something with stables. For example, I don't know, using some strategy, or I don't know, maybe someone wants just to pay their loan for university, for example. I don't know, like many cases why people borrow against their BTC, but without selling their BTC. Yeah, and then you can repay the loan and then redeem your, take your Stroom BTC back and then redeem it to native Bitcoin. I guess that's the main use case.
Yeah, and at the same time, keep your exposure to Bitcoin and also earning some rewards coming from Lightning Network.
Right, I'm actually curious how this works with rewards on the Lightning Network, but before that I took a look at 1ml.com, which is this Lightning Network Explorer, and I looked up Stroom, and it seems like there's this public node that's called Fortuna Custody Stroom, which has 180 BTC in capacity, which is like $19.4 million right now with 548 channels. It's one of the top nodes basically right now. It's the 8th biggest in terms of capacity. And in terms of channel count, it is the 13th largest. So is this your node? Is this where you run your operations?
Yep, this is our node. So yeah, like we bootstrap it. So we have a pretty long time worked on the Lightning Network. We started to work with it, I think, in 2016. And Slava also at that time worked at, so like he worked as a researcher at Bitfury. Bitfury, it was one of the biggest Bitcoin miner, ASIC producer, and supporter of different Bitcoin-related technologies. And yeah, so we worked there for a few years and worked with Lightning Network. And we started Stroom a few years ago. And for that time, we had like a test node. And this node you mentioned, we launched a few months ago. So like we bootstrap it from the scratch. And currently, yeah, we are in top 10. And we think that this is receipt token. It's a big driver for liquidity because before that, people needed like to choose. If people don't want just to hold, they want to do something with their Bitcoins. Usually they like bridge it to some other chains. And at the moment, the total Lightning capacity, I didn't check the exact number, but it's something around 5,000K, I believe. But like a tens, but okay, billions of BTC, or even like a tens of billions already breached in form of WBTC, BTCB, TBTC, and other like a VARP versions. And with Stroom solution, people don't need like to choose stake it with Lightning Network or just a breach on some another chain, because they can stake it in Lightning Network, support the Bitcoin native infrastructure, and also keep it in this liquid form on other chains. And we think that this is one of the main economic incentive for users, just like to use it simultaneously in different ecosystems.
Okay, interesting. I took a look at 1ml. Right now, the capacity of the Lightning Network is 4,063 BTC, which is like $438.4 million. And I was going to ask you, why are you so bullish on the Lightning Network? Because you mentioned the number, which was 5,000 Bitcoin capacity. It seems like we have 1,000 less than your expectation.
And the big
Well, why are you so bullish on Lightning? Because by all metrics, the number of channels and the number of Bitcoins locked on this network is going down year by year.
Yeah, but the more important is I think the more important metric for Lightning Network is the volume of payments that this network is processed throughout the year. And so we have really good reports, which is published by River Finance. That's a company that is behind one of the biggest Lightning nodes, River, and they are providing like payment solutions to their customers on Lightning Network. So they publish a report each second year, approximately. So in 2023, in 2024, Lightning Network processed $1 billion USD volume in transactions. In 2023, yeah, that's correct. In 2024, Lightning Network processed 4 billions in USD value of transactions. That's according to the reports of River. So that's 4x growth year to year. And this actually pretty good metrics for Lightning Network, despite the drop in like liquidity that is locked in Lightning Network. And I think the reason that why liquidity is dropping is because Lightning Network becomes more efficient and channels are used more efficiently. Yeah, so that's kind of like eliminate the need to lock a lot of liquidity in Lightning Network. But answering your like initial question, why we are so bullish on Lightning Network, because this is really innovative solution from the technical standpoint, since it's it can scale infinitely. Like the more nodes you have in Lightning Network, the more throughput of the overall Lightning Network. Like if we have 1 million nodes in the network, that means that that amount of transactions that network can process, it can scale up to billions. And I mean, there is no technological ceiling to that. In comparison, any blockchain, even Solana or any other blockchain, that it has ceiling, so they cannot be more than, yeah, maybe some big number like 100,000 transactions per second for Solana, or maybe something like that. But there is a ceiling, so still there is a technical limitation, and basically it comes from the limitation of the speed of light, because every transaction must be confirmed by every node in the network, and that's what limits the technical limits the scalability of these technologies. But in Lightning Network, one transaction is confirmed by only a small portion of the network, and that's completely changes the everything and how transactions are confirmed, and that's how the scalability of Lightning Network is achieved.
Right, but this is purely theoretical. Like it can, if you assume that all nodes are using very fast internet and they're very well connected and they're able to route this volume of transactions. But what does the data really show? Like, how many transactions is your node routing and how profitable is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So exact numbers, I need to look at it because everything is like updating very quickly. So we processed 127 BTC of transaction volume. That's for 2 months. And it was around 65,000 of transactions. About profitability, I probably can't tell you. And I learned that from other Lightning Network nodes operators. And the people telling that, okay, since Lightning Network opening a channel is kind of like a public information, so you can see for any node where it has open channels too. And if you know how profitable that, so you can easily replicate that. And so that's why any Lightning Network node operator, they will not tell you anything about their profitability because they don't want to be replicated. So I think I will adopt this point of view here. And yeah.
Well, it is important for people investing or staking on the Stroom network to know the profitability, because basically the natural question that stems from this setup is, where does the yield come from? And I sort of know the answer, but I'll let you say it. And then we're going to ask basically, what is the pool of liquidity from which people can actually get their yield?
Yeah, so as we grow in these 2 months, we like actively scaling our node capacity and so on. And yeah, at peak, like we achieved more than 1% APY, and this is like a very unique story because so Bitcoin blockchain is not like a proof of stake blockchain, and you need like to mine blocks to receive some like new Bitcoins, and the Lightning Network is only infrastructure solution without any economical risks, like some price risks and so on, to earn BTC on provided liquidity in Bitcoins. So, and that's why we launched this product, because we believe that this is the true way to use your Bitcoin to generate some profit. And also, this is the unique way, and maybe in the future we will have some similar mechanics on layer 2s, on B2M projects, when you can also like provide your Bitcoins as a liquidity and earn some fees in BTC. But at the moment, Lightning is the only solution to do this. And like the biggest one. Organically grown without any incentivization and so on. Yeah, so that's why we're pretty excited about Lightning Network.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned other L2s, because I guess next month we're going to have the mainnet launch of Citrea, and maybe in a few months we're going to get Alpen too. And it's going to be interesting to see how these projects are going to take some share of existing L2s and maybe get some users from Ethereum or Solana who maybe want to use a kind of money that makes a lot more sense and they can basically have the same features. To me, it's a very interesting bet. But if I understand correctly, and to actually ask you a question, your system works in the following way. People have their Bitcoin, they put it on the Lightning Network, they give it to you so that you open more Lightning channels. With the Lightning channels that you open, you're going to be routing transactions and earning BTC. And from the BTC that you earn, you're paying back some yield to the users who basically staked their Bitcoin to you. And as a temporary solution for them to not be completely illiquid, you're giving them this Ethereum token that they can basically swap with other people. So if they want to get out without closing the Lightning channels, they can just swap the token. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so This is correct. Maybe a few comments. The first one that we don't control like money of the users. We use like a secure setup with certified custody and so on. The only reason for this is that Bitcoin Lightning Network node cannot be decentralized at the moment. So you cannot make a kind of federation to control the Lightning node. And that's why we started with custody stub. And another thing is that the idea of this liquid token is to make our yield possible without any opportunity costs. So when we say that we can provide some yield or rewards for the stakers or like liquidity providers in BTC, that means that users don't have like a opportunity cost for this yield because they keep their deposited BTC in liquid form. So like we can launch it on Citrea or we can launch it on liquid blockchain or like at any Bitcoin L2, and it will be also kind of reached BTC as it worked like on liquid, but with additional yield coming from Lightning Network and with the same price as another like a BTC breached or wrapped or like communicated to this blockchain layer.
Okay, so what is the custodian that you're using for the BTC that the clients are bringing?
Yeah, so as implied from the name of the node that we're running, it's Fortuna. So it's Irish-based custodian and fully EU compliant and certified.
Right, so basically, what is the percentage of the transaction fees that you earn that you give to the users? Like, what is the ratio between what you're holding to run your business and what you're giving back to the users?
This is around, so we plan to take around from 5 to 10%, just like to make cover our operations, but the almost all rewards will go to the stakers. On the bootstrapping phase, we started with 20%, but we plan to decrease it like to 5 to 10 in the future.
20% being basically the fees that you're earning. But as related to the amount that they're staking, is there a percentage like 1, 2, 3% of their BTC that they should be expecting to get?
Can you like elaborate more? What do you mean? Like some sort of management fee or?
No. That's not what I mean. So let's say that I deposit 1 Bitcoin. Are you going to be giving me a fixed percentage of this Bitcoin, or does it really vary according to the number of Lightning transactions that you're routing for which you collect fees?
It depends on volumes of transactions that we are routing. Yeah, so we basically operate on a revenue share model.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because otherwise you'd be taking a lot of risk promising to give a certain percentage and then maybe you don't route enough transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do admire that you're building this on Lightning. And I have to ask you what happened in the last couple of years, because Slava, you were on the show 2 years ago promoting sort of the same service. And I'm curious, what's the timeline? What happened in the meantime?
Yeah, so from this technical standpoint, that was a big challenge. So like the original vision that we had about our project is that we should have it as decentralized, as transparent as possible. And as you probably see, the like setup with custodian is not that decentralized. And the issue with that is that we've been waiting for a big update to Lightning Network, which is Taproot channels. So Taproot is just for brief review. Taproot update, that's a soft fork that was activated in 2019 on Bitcoin blockchain. It introduced Schnorr signatures and must and a lot of different cool technical stuff. And this one update also make possible to create a Taproot channel. Basically, the currently Enlightened Network channel is 2 of 2 multisig, like original multisig that was like available on Bitcoin blockchain since, I don't know, 2013 probably. But Taproot is allow you to create a different style multisig that is based on Schnorr signatures and Taproot addresses. And it's much more efficient, more privacy focused, and just better than existing solution. Yeah, and everyone was expecting the Taproot channels to be available in Lightning Network, but it's actually a very heavy lift to integrate that into the Lightning protocol, since Lightning protocol is very complicated, and making changes to that in compatible way is hard. And so Taproot channels was added to Lightning Network as edge nodes, edge channels. That means that you cannot use Taproot channel for routing. You only can use Taproot channel for receiving or sending. And yeah, so, and that kind of like, since we desperately needed Taproot channels to create this decentralized Lightning Network node, so it kind of like created this, like we either need to wait several years while Taproot channels will be added to Lightning Network, or we need to come up with other solution. So we came up with more centralized solution. Yeah, but anyway, we still don't want to have full control of funds. In the current setup with Custodian, we only able to open channels, close channels, but we don't able to withdraw money from the node. The full custody is preserved with Custodian of the funds. And Custodian is kind of like guarantees that BTC on that Lightning Network node will stay there. And we have like programmatic security set up based on macaroons on LND that actually programmatically limits us from withdrawing funds. And I think that's a good compromise that we could come up with. And we've been like working on it for several months, and yeah, currently have it launched.
Yeah, so I do have to ask you, if Bitcoin was to enable some kind of covenant soft fork, which allows people to create vaults, would it be possible for you to get rid of the custodian and have everything in a contract that's visible to all the participants?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about it, but like in depth, but like on the top of my head, I think it won't be that. Since Lightning Network channels, it's still 2 of 2 multisig, and it's just behave like multisig address. Yeah, so and like this channel regulates how you transact with your counterparty, with like on the other end of the channel, and any caveats wouldn't help here to change the trust assumptions that we have in our system. Yeah. So, like, brief answer is probably no.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate because we still have to fall back on these custodians. But speaking of custodians, there are at least 2 other solutions that I know of that do this kind of service, which is staking your BTC. One of them is Kraken, which honestly has a pretty good record of custodying Bitcoin, and they promise to offer 1% per year. And there's also Starkware with their Starknet, and they also offer like 2%, if I'm not mistaken. So how are you able to compete with this, and why should users still go for Stroom?
Yeah, usually this, so to compare Stroom with this solution, we need to understand what is like the nature of these rewards. So most of staking solutions is just like a staking for rewards in tokens of these solutions, like Babylon. Probably you heard about this project.
I'm not sure. Can you elaborate more about Babylon?
Yeah, it's kind of like a. Did you heard about Eigenlayer and all this like restaking solutions? So the idea of Babylon is just like to stake BTC and use Bitcoin as a security layer for some applications and other chains. But currently they are paying like just in their tokens for the rewards. And because there are not any real economic activity there. And if you're talking about Kraken, I think they use these Bitcoins, I don't know, maybe they lend them to some traders for some leverage positions on the exchange or so. Like I'm not sure what is the exact mechanic of the yield generation, and but most of them it's like two options. Almost all staking solutions is first option is just like some speculations and leverage things on trading. And another thing is just like a incentivization by their own tokens. So in case of Starkware, I think we also need to check what is the exact mechanic. But usually this is some unnatural yield. And the main difference with Stroom that our yield coming from the real economic activities, because people just want to send some transactions in the Lightning Network, and our like a launch product confirmed it that they send a lot of transactions. So we routed more than 60,000 of transactions just like in first months. And yeah, so like it's a real economic activity. It's the real value of liquidity provision to the Lightning Network, because to send transactions, they needed liquidity in payment channels. So we route these transactions and collect these rewards for the stakers. And also, I want like also to mention that we have this liquid token you can use in the same activity. So we can, for example, launch it on Starknet, and the users will be able to deposit it to some additional solutions to generate 2% or 3% more. Or you can put it, so when Stroom BTC will be traded on exchanges, Kraken can potentially add Stroom BTC together with BTC to these solutions like on their earning products. So the main idea is that this yield coming from Lightning Network is yield without any opportunity cost, and you can stake your BTC with us in Lightning, keep your Stroom BTC in DeFi ecosystems like on Starknet you mentioned, and for example, borrow some stables for that from some lending pools on Starknet, make some strategies with stablecoins, or you can just provide it to some programs of exchanges and so on.
Right. So did you say that you had 60,000 transactions on your Lightning node in the first month?
Yeah. So we routed. Let me check the exact number, but yeah, we routed. Almost 65,000 transactions, and the total volume is around 15 mil volume of these routed transactions.
Okay, but if we assume, so can you tell me the average fee that you collected for these transactions? Is it 1 Satoshi?
No, actually, Maybe Slava correct me, but it's around like 0.1% or so.
No. For the 0.1% of the transaction value?
Yeah.
Is that how much you're collecting?
Maybe less than that. It depends on the channel.
Yeah, it's like we also have another element, we call it LMS. So liquidity management system. So we have different channels, algorithms, and logic how to keep these flows of transactions between different peers. So yeah, and in each channels we have different numbers.
Because
But the main thing that the payment volume is higher than our node capacity at the moment, or almost the same. So we already turned over all our capacity in payments just like in months or two.
okay, so if you have 65,000 transactions per month, and let's assume that the average transaction fee is 10 satoshis. I don't know, is it more than this? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, it's heavily depends on the transaction size. Like sometimes we can roll bigger transactions, and since the fee is actually based on the size of the transaction, which is logical because in Lightning Network scarce resource is liquidity, and when you send a payment, you rent liquidity on all of the intermediary channels, and you pay for this. Yeah, so for small transactions, it can be like 10, 20 Satoshi. For bigger, it can be like several hundreds of Satoshi. So it heavily depends.
Let's assume that the average is 100. Because I did some math. If you do 65,000 transactions per month at 100 satoshis each, then you are earning $7,000 per month from routing.
That was actually for 2 months.
Yeah, it's 65,000 from the start of our node.
Yeah.
But it started like from 0 transactions to some number at the moment.
I'm not sure if that makes it better. But basically, if we assume that you have made 100 satoshis per transaction, then in total, what you made in routing fees since the launch of your node is $7,000. So what I'm trying to say is that you're gonna need a lot more than this to pay something that is competitive to someone who's taking on the risk of staking their Bitcoin.
Yeah, so currently we are scaling, and that's why we are just opening the new channels, testing some new payment directions and so on. But so if you consider us not just like it's not the final number of rewards you can get, because if you can, when you, for example, to make some yield on your BTC, you need to bridge your Bitcoin to some DeFi ecosystems. And usually when you bridge it, you pay a fee for this bridging and then make some yield on DeFi protocols. But with Stroom, you can earn additional yield just like for your BTC. And also you have this bridged asset to make additional rewards from the same sources you are comparing us with.
Now, to me, it's just interesting for perspective because you have this 180.26 BTC channel, which is $19.5 million. And you are able to make like $8,000 per month from it, from transaction fees, which I remember when people were advertising that you can run your own Lightning node, they were saying, well, if you open enough channels and you have good liquidity, you can basically pay for the electricity cost and also for the cost of opening channels and maybe also make a profit. I remember at one point Alex Bosworth from Lightning Labs, he was saying that he made 1 Bitcoin in routing fees. And it seemed like such a big deal. But at the same time, he was also possibly the best connected node in the network. And he was in the middle of a lot of transactions.
Yeah, but a lot of businesses, so you can also, probably you remember that the block, Jack Dorsey's company, they reported that they make like a 10% APY per year with their node. So it depends on their capacity, but as I remember, so they have around 10 mil of capacity in their node. And so they can earn up to 1 mil per year. So it depends on the performance of each node, because if you just open some channels, you're not rebalancing your liquidity, you're not doing any like integrations, and didn't have some like a team and algorithms how to work with your liquidity, the APY can be like a 0 because you have some not balanced channels, or you have just only outbound liquidity without any inbound liquidity into your Lightning node. And the APY will be like a 0. But some real businesses like the block, they like reported 10 up to 10% APY. So we think that the real numbers is somewhere between, and Lightning nodes with good performance can make like a few percent of APY.
Right, so if you say that the number is in the middle, it means 5%. You have twice the capacity of Block. You have almost $20 million.
No, I mean like in the middle, it's like between 0 and 10%. Yeah, but of course it's not like a 5%, but you can earn like a few percent.
Yeah, and I also want to add that Alex Bosworth's node is operating since almost the inception of the network. So it's very old node. And the block node is also operating for several years. We've been watching it for at least 3 years, but actually I don't remember exact date, but maybe it even appeared earlier than that. And this time is crucial for building the gravity in Lightning Network for the Lightning nodes. So since we have a very fresh node, which is very new, and people like very cautious about opening channels with us because they don't know, maybe we will close tomorrow. I don't know, maybe something happened. Yeah. So like if the node is very old and it's been operational for years and years, so it signals to everyone that this node is reliable and they can open channel with it. And so these nodes tend to attract more traffic than newer nodes. So for us, we're currently in expansion state when we like just launched the node 2 months, and we like expanding our business, attracting more payment volumes. So we kind of like playing a little bit of like decreasing the fee size that we actually can charge. And that, of course, also influences the performance of our node at this stage.
Yeah, but at the same time, it does seem that the success of your business is directly related to the success of the Lightning Network. So my question is, how would you encourage people, on one hand, to open channels with you, which is economically productive for yourself, and on the other hand, to also do more transactions on Lightning? How do you encourage that?
Yeah, very good questions. And actually, the first question, how we encourage other people to open channel with us, and that's and the overall adoption of Lightning Network. I think that's really like 2 different topics. And like regarding the first one, like how we encourage other people to open channel with us, So again, that's as I said before. So we need to build a gravity about our node that we like run a very reliable, can be a very reliable peer. So and we have currently our competitive advantage probably here is that we have a lot of liquidity that we can deploy. So we always have enough inbound liquidity in channels. So if you open channel to us and you send the payment to some destination, the success rate will be very high because most likely we will have enough liquidity in that channel to send the transaction. So that's what we're using right now when we like talking to people and asking them to open channel with us. And regarding the overall Lightning Network adoption, oh, that's a very, very broad question. And I can tell a lot about this, but in general, I think what people see right now about Lightning Network that people actually don't want to use their Bitcoins to spend. I mean, like buying a cup of coffee with Bitcoins, probably not a good use case for Bitcoin. So currently, everyone treats Bitcoin as some sort of investment vehicle or some hedge from inflation or something that just will not lose value and that you want to keep somewhere in very, very cold storage and maybe keep it for your, I don't know, retire account or something like that. So yeah, spending Bitcoins is not that huge use case as everyone expected before. And I think Lightning Labs and other teams in Lightning Network, they're working hard to solve that and actually introduce stablecoins to the Lightning Network. And I think that will create a huge boost to the usage of Lightning Network. And moreover, the teams that are experimenting with stablecoins, they add in it very interesting way. So on the edge, you receive USD or maybe Euro or some other currency, and you send it, and then this currency converted to Bitcoin, and then it's just sent on the current Lightning Network as it is existent. So it's as a Bitcoin send it through several channels, and then on the final destination, and again converted to USD or Euro or whatever currency. So it utilizes existing Lightning Network, but also allow people to spend dollars, not their Bitcoins. But for infrastructure companies like us, you still can use Bitcoin, provide Bitcoin liquidity to the Lightning Network and increase the overall throughput of the network and contribute to the adoption of this technology. And yeah, so I believe that will be a huge use case for Lightning Network. So stable coins, and there are a lot of solutions. So one of them is Taproot Asset Protocol that is developed by Lightning Labs. So you can issue stable coins there on that protocol, and it's compatible with Lightning Network. And also there is RGB, which is a kind of like extension to Lightning Network, which also allow you to create a stable coin on compatible with Lightning Network. And also there is a Bitcoin L2 Spark that is developed by Lightspark, which is also compatible with Lightning Network, and also you can issue a stablecoin there. So all of that solutions are very cool, and I'm excited to see which one or maybe all of them will succeed, and that would be very awesome.
I do want to take another look at your Lightning node because it seems to be connected with some of the biggest names, and maybe that this will help the listeners to understand that there's some merit to this. They shouldn't be discouraged by the numbers yet. But before that, I gotta plug my sponsors. I apologize, guys. So first of all, Layer 2 Labs, which is building the drive chain. Right now, you can go to layer2labs.com/download, and you're going to find the side chain that basically features everything that you find on Ethereum, everything that you find on Zcash, a big block side chain, which is prunable, which is optimized for high throughput, basically to support 8 billion users since bootstrapping. and it runs on the Bitcoin Signet, so it's not activated on LiveNet. I'm not sure if we're gonna get BIP 300, but you can test the software and you can make up your mind whether or not this is something that you would like to use. Once again, the URL is layer2labs.com. There's also Sideshift, which is the place where you can swap something that you have for something that you really want. For example, if someone offers to pay you in stablecoins, and as you know, stablecoins are CBDC wannabes, and they are not censorship resistant, they are not really private, and you should not be holding on to them. And what you can do is basically to put your Bitcoin address on Sideshift, you pick the USDT or USDC to BTC pair, and what's going to happen is that the person wanting to send you stablecoins will actually send them to Sideshift. They're the ones taking on the risk, and you receive BTC to your wallet. And the liquidity is pretty good. The fees are low. Unfortunately, it's not available in the US, but otherwise you can use it for whatever you may find interesting, including betting on meme coins if you're into that. So the URL is Sideshift, which is sideshift.ai. Also, noons.com is a peer-to-peer marketplace where basically you are trading with citizens of the global south. The CEO of Noons is Ray Youssef, who is known for Paxful, I guess, and he helped that business go to the top, and then he realized that having your jurisdiction in the US is not the way to go if you have this mission to help those who are not helped by the mainstream financial system. And now with Noons, he made it a lot more decentralized and more peer-to-peer and closer to the hearts of people from Africa, from South America, and from the Middle East. Basically, if you trade on Noons, you're going to provide liquidity to these people and you're going to help them hustle their way into this world of uncensorable, decentralized peer-to-peer money. So the URL is noones.com. And if you're into that, they also have a debit card for spending and a spot exchange. And last but not least, there is Bitcoin.com news. I'm actually curious if they covered anything about the Stroom Network. So the URL is news.bitcoin.com. Because usually what I like about them and the reason why I advertise them is that they have a much more diverse approach to news, meaning that they're not solely focused on the US or solely focused on institutions. They seem to be much more grassroots. And I typed Stroom. Let's see if they wrote anything about you guys. No, it doesn't seem like it. Anyway, maybe that they will after this podcast. They will find something interesting. What I usually find on Bitcoin.com news is news about gold, news about other markets, the Fear Greed Index, and basically news about parts of the world about which you don't usually hear on Bitcoin Magazine or CoinDesk. So if something happens in Africa or the Middle East, it's more likely to get covered on Bitcoin.com than other outlets. So check them out. Thank you for sponsoring. And now let's get to the interesting part about your node. Let me put that on the screen. I think it's this one. Yeah. So I've basically covered my face with this, but you can see that the most connected nodes, or the ones with the most capacity to which Fortuna Custody Stroom is connected, include NiceHash, which has 79 BTC, OKX, which has 211.8 BTC, also Kraken, which has 269.7 BTC, Binance, 355.59 BTC. What else? There was also Wallet of Satoshi, if I'm not mistaken, around here. LN Markets, this is also a big one, 32 BTC. Unbank.com, another Binance one. Wallet of Satoshi, that has 161.2 BTC, and so on. So you seem to have gotten all the big names in terms of Lightning nodes to open channels with you, and I guess this is helpful. The main drawback, I think, is if you keep going with this policy of charging 0.1% for relaying transactions, maybe some advanced users will put a setting that will bypass your node and you'll not collect their fee. Because if you use something like RTL, which is run the Lightning, then you can basically choose when you send a transaction that you set the base fee that you want to pay, and it will search for a route that will basically allow you to pay that fee. If you use a newbie wallet like Wallet of Satoshi, it will just route to the fastest one. But you can also have some custom settings. And I'm curious how you guys were able to make these partnerships, and also if you're thinking about relaxing this relay policy to charge a big fee, because maybe you're going to be able to collect more fees that are small.
Yeah, actually, like 0.1%, that number that I just mentioned for reference, but as Ross already mentioned, fee in our channels vary greatly. In some channels, we have like 2 basis points fee, or even 1 basis point. In other channels, it can be above 0.1%. So it heavily depends on the destination, since some destination are more popular, some destination less popular, and as you Vlad already mentioned, the this possibility to set up maximum fee that you have that you want to pay in Lightning Network, it can actually result in that your payment can fail, because usually very cheap roads, they used very quickly, and then liquidity in the channels become imbalanced, and you not able to send payments anymore on the destinations. So in our setup, like we very using super dynamic algorithms that adapt to the conditions on Lightning Network. So if some directions are more become cheaper, so we also lower our fee. If those directions become a little bit more expensive, like because of some surge in payment volume to the direction, so we can increase fee a little bit. So it's really like adaptive in that sense. And I forgot the first part of your question. Can you
Yeah, but the main idea is that we don't charge this fees directly from the users. We just acting as a routing node. We understand that some high fees will mean that we will not have any transactions from our node, because a routing algorithm in the Lightning Network also use these fees as one of the parameter to build the best route to send transaction. And we act here more like scientists who are exploring the network and trying to find the best offer for this liquidity to have more transactions routed.
Okay, that's interesting. Something else that I want to ask you is if the Lightning Network is going to get replaced as the most popular L2 for Bitcoin, where do you think you're more likely to move? Or will you continue this business model elsewhere? I think that's the first question. And which layer do you think is better optimized for what you're doing?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we updated our long-term vision for more products from Stroom. The first one is Bitcoin Layer 2s, like a proof of stake Bitcoin Layer 2s, when users staking BTC and receiving rewards in BTC, something similar to Botanics. Probably you've heard about them. So the users paying their fees in BTC, and if you validate the network, you can receive also rewards in Bitcoin. So for us, very important to have yield sources with rewards in BTC, not just like some Bitcoins of other chains or just incentivization in some points from other networks. So we are looking for sustainable models to generate yield in Bitcoins for staked Bitcoins. And and some layer 2s work for us because they have like this architecture when you can stake BTC and receive rewards in BTC as well. Another thing is BTVM projects. You can also act as operator of BTVM and stake some BTC, receive rewards. This is the second way. The third way is cross-chain swaps between, for example, between Bitcoin and Citrea, let's say, because like a to unbreach, like unwrap your BTC from layer 2 to the original one, you need like to spend some time, and because of architecture of BTVM, and if you make it if you want to make it happen like instantly, you can use some cross-chain swaps, and it also is our vision because you can provide liquidity in Bitcoins, so like a BTC and some version of Bitcoin on another chain, and you can make like instant swaps and charge some small fees for that, and you don't have any economical risks because all your assets in BTC. And so this is the main directions we are looking at the moment, and technically almost all of them already developed, so we plan to launch it in coming months. And we'll be happy to share some performance metrics and news in January or February.
I'm not sure if Nick Sterengard, I think that's his last name, but he was on the show 2 years ago as one of the team members of Stroom. I'm not sure if he's still around.
He's our early supporter, investor, and so I just met him yesterday. But he's our kind of advisor at the moment.
I remember he told me one time that, okay, maybe it's not nice to divulge like a private conversation that we had, but he told me that it's very hard in Lightning to run a profitable business.
In Lightning, the question is what is your business in Lightning, I think.
Well, even LSPs are struggling, and theoretically something like Phoenix or Breeze should be printing money, but they're really not.
I think that so both companies you mentioned, they have cool teams, and I think here the main if we speak only about Lightning, I think the main thing is that to make more payments into Lightning Network, and we see that people prefer stablecoin payments, not like a Bitcoin payments, and we expect that launch of the stablecoin on Lightning RGB will drive the volume of payments, and but of course, we don't see some huge growth of the users in the Lightning Network. But but I think this is, but long term is still one of the best solution to focus on, I believe, because if you understand that people will need to transact Bitcoins in 20 years from now or 30 years from now, I think Lightning Network is still one of the best solutions for payments if you want to make it without any middlemen and with the same security level as Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah, so for the record, I do like Lightning, but it did not take off, and it was sort of misadvertised. the way in which it was presented, that it's the only one scaling solution that Bitcoin will need, and that it's gonna work no matter what. I mean, there were like 10 years of engineering time that were put into this, and there was no hedging approach, like saying, well, if this doesn't work, let's also try this. I mean, there was, but not enough of it. And a lot of capital was deployed into Lightning. And it seems like, on one hand, the fact that Bitcoin went up in price so much disincentivized people from spending, and it made them more cautious, plus the regulations that make it more difficult from a taxation point of view to spend it. And on the other hand, I don't know, it always seemed to be a bit buggy or suboptimal, and not as nice of an experience as, say, just setting up an SPV wallet on your phone and receiving funds on chain, even if the fees are high. And Lightning never really got there. It always had some sort of quirks. And I feel kind of sorry, because I remember 4 or 5 years ago I was running a Lightning node on a Raspberry Pi 4. Maybe it was 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
And I was really hoping that this is gonna take off. I was part of Telegram channels with people who were opening channels in circles. We're calling this rings of fire. So basically everyone was opening a channel with someone else, and we had circles connected to other circles, and there was this mastermind who was creating this topology for everyone to be better connected. But it still wasn't great for 2 reasons, at least for my node. First of all, because I was using Tor, and the slowdowns caused by the network meant that most of the times transactions were avoiding my node because it was not responding fast enough. And on the other hand, I did not have enough liquidity that was optimized well enough. My strategy was to just open small channels with as many people as possible, hoping that I get the microtransactions, but it did not work like that.
Yeah. So we started with Lightning Network because this is the best way to generate yield on BTC, we think, because this is fully decentralized and without any additional risks. So you don't need to give it to some centralized exchanges or so on. But if we compare Lightning Network. But yeah, interesting. So when you're saying that it is not taking off, so can you maybe tell about some products you like for payments in crypto? Just wondering.
Well, I still use on-chain, to be honest. Like, there's no reason not to use on-chain when the fees are low for Bitcoin. And then when the fees are high, it becomes difficult to use Lightning, and that's sort of what broke it to a lot of people. The whole HTLC system.
And are you using stablecoins or not?
No, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
If someone offers to send me stablecoins, I actually practice what I preach. I swap them for Bitcoin.
Okay.
I believe in free markets. There's actually an interesting article, and I'm sorry for changing the subject a bit, but I read this on Bitcoin Magazine yesterday, and it's called "Tether is Buying Bitcoin's Revolution. How Devastating Will the Consequences Be?" And I'm not sure who this guy is who wrote this. They just used like a generic name for the author, plain memo. But it's very interesting because it's so true that everything that we wanted Bitcoin to be and all the network effect that we wanted Bitcoin to have is going to stablecoins. And many of the guys who say they're toxic and they're maximalists in terms of Bitcoin adoption, they just look the other way when it comes to Tether or Circle, because most likely their companies are funded by Tether or Circle. And they're working on their pet projects. There are lots of these tiny islands of projects that are being built, which are not really interoperable. Maybe that Lightning in the future will actually help bridge everything together. But it seems like these stablecoins are getting much more real world use, which we wanted Bitcoin to have. And it's just not happening, at least not at this stage. And maybe that Alex what's his last name? The guy from the Human Rights Foundation. Anyway, that guy is gonna say that stablecoins are great for the third world, but they're not censorship resistant, they're not private, they don't have the qualities that Bitcoin has. They can just get censored by the mint or the issuer at any point. And if more of these are coming to Lightning or any Bitcoin layer, they're not gonna come in a more free way, which is exempt from this censorship. They're gonna come with the same conditions, and it's gonna become possible for holders to get censored also.
Yeah, that's a very fundamental question or fundamental ideas. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but maybe I have just thoughts. That's my thoughts on this topic. But like we live in the world where dollars is reserve currency of the whole planet, and I don't remember exact number, but it's like 85% or something like that of all payments happening in dollars on our planet, and so some very big number. So and that's maybe okay, but in cryptocurrency space, in the like in Bitcoin and in broader cryptocurrency space, people tend to pay in dollars and spend it in dollars because it's just used to it. And maybe in some day we will end up in the world where Bitcoin will be reserve currency of the whole planet, which is censorship resistant and open for everybody, and everyone can use it, and it's privacy focused and all of that stuff. But I think this change cannot happen very quickly. We cannot just like switch from American-centric world to Bitcoin-centric world during one night. So it's just lengthy process.
Yeah, but I don't want to play on this tune for too long. But if you look back 10 years ago, Bitcoin was accepted in more places for payments. Now you can do more with your Bitcoin in terms of borrowing stable coins or fiat against it, or using workarounds like Bitrefill or something to buy gift cards, or using a third party that will take your Bitcoin and pay fiat for the stuff that you want. I know that there's such service for Amazon or whatever. So today you can do much more of this, but 10 years ago you could pay with Bitcoin directly at Dell, at Microsoft, at Steam, at Expedia. There were rumors that eBay was going to support it. And it seemed fashionable until, of course, we hit the scaling debate. And it seems like since that scaling debate, the actual adoption, which means directly accepting Bitcoin at merchants, has gone down.
Yeah, at the moment, like the narrative that Bitcoin is a digital gold is much popular, that it's like a peer-to-peer cash system. And I think this is the main idea, like why people not transacting a lot in BTC. They like consider BTC as something you need just to hold and do nothing with it. Yeah, but another thing maybe that like the current world works like inflation economy, and the Bitcoin nature is like a deflation, and that's why also people this is not like the best architecture for like a digital currency. Yeah, but but I think that if you want like to keep your funds in BTC, and like you don't want to keep it in USD, you should like make Bitcoin transactions as well, because it's like it's pretty like natural not to like to use Bitcoin everywhere, not only like for holding.
Yeah, I very much agree. And maybe that I gave you a hard time with some questions during this interview, but at the same time, I do respect that you're basically generating the yield that you're paying to your customers from actual use. So there is a real business behind this, which relies on the number of transactions that your node is routing, which is different from, let's say, what we had like 4 or 5 years ago with BlockFi and Celsius that were offering you 3-4% on your deposit. But what they were doing was to borrow your Bitcoin, so rehypothecation to short sellers. That was their business model. And that was a lot less transparent, a lot less honest, and a lot more risky than something where basically the business model is that you get a share of the transactions that your Bitcoin liquidity is generating. And it's really unfortunate that we're not there in terms of adoption to basically enable this kind of use case to make it scale and make it very profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but we still believe that Bitcoins should be used only for some economic activity like payments or some security things when you can provide like a security to other like applications or solutions with your BTC, and and people will be paying for some real value for Bitcoin liquidity.
Yeah. Is there anything about the Stroom network and its current design that we haven't touched upon, that we haven't mentioned, and maybe is interesting to know?
Yeah, also, so we developed a kind of decentralized solution for management of BTC, and even as of our first product launched with custody setup, but the second one we plan to launch with with a federation of decentralized entities, much more transparent for the users, and we think it will be cross-chain swaps and all other possible solutions you mentioned before, like L2s or Ethereum projects. It will be also realized in a more decentralized and transparent version for the users. And yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
So, do you want to add something from technical standpoint?
No, I would be curious. Okay, I'll let Slava talk and then I'll ask questions.
No. We covered almost everything. Yeah, so I actually don't have anything to add.
Like, what do you believe is the ultimate purpose of the Stroom network? Is it to act like a cypherpunk kind of banking service to pay people for the liquidity that they provide?
We think that the ultimate goal is to support some real economic activity on BTC, not just like a hodl use case, but something more sophisticated, at least payments, and support different native Bitcoin solutions and solutions with real economic activities with BTC, with our liquidity, and make some interesting solutions how to use it in proper way for Bitcoin adoption and for yield generation and so on.
What does your community consist of? Like, can you give us some numbers about the users that you have, or what countries they come from, or I don't know. Do you have any metrics about it?
We don't know what countries they're from, but usually it's Europe, States, and also some Asian countries. And at the moment, we have tens thousands of followers across all our platforms. So yeah, and we have the team is not very big. We have up to like 8 people. Most of them are developers, so we are more like a technical focused team at the moment, not like a marketing team. Yeah, but yeah, with the launch of the first product, we plan like to facilitate interaction with different communities more and attract more users with the existing project and like working product on the market.
So, of this community of thousands of people that you have, how many of them actually staked their Bitcoin with Stroom?
At the moment, we have like a few big funds who are interested like to put their BTC and also some retail users, but proportion of liquidity is I think around 50-50 from the number of the stakers.
Where do you see this project in, say, I know it sounds generic, but if you're gonna keep doing this and you're gonna scale it and you're gonna get payments to route a lot of transactions on Lightning or some other layer, where do you think you're gonna be in 10 years? And how do you see this evolving?
Yeah, so we plan to launch a few additional products in coming months, and all these projects are Bitcoin related. But yeah, we will experiment with different liquidity like approaches to use liquidity to like support Bitcoin native projects. Yeah, and we also want to be fully decentralized and transparent in few years for the users. And talking about like a 10 months or like a 10 years, you asked, we think that it will be one of the biggest community for management of the liquidity in BTC, and yeah, and some solution where people can not just like hodl their Bitcoins, but make it work for Bitcoin economy.
A few minutes ago, you asked me a question about what I use for payments and what kind of experience that I have. And I'm curious what you guys are using for payments and if there's any network that offers some benefits that you wish Bitcoin had already.
Yeah, so speaking about payments, I think like Bitcoin and stable coins are best, but I prefer more Lightning Network, but also it like it highly depends on the counterparty I need like to send money, because not all accept Lightning payments at the moment. Yeah, and from technical perspective and features of other chains, I pass the word to Slava.
Yeah, like I still use stable coins a lot because just lots of my counterparties were paying to, they just want to accept dollars. I mean, none of them, but most of them, and that's just a reality. And I think that's the like biggest. I mean, that's the topic that we touched briefly before. That just everyone in the world use dollar for payments. That's how it is.
Oh, I appreciate the honesty, but let me reframe the question in another way. Like if you had this magic wand and you could make Bitcoin have a certain feature from another network or improve it in a certain way, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. I'm not sure about like full Turing complete programmability like Ethereum or some other chains have. Maybe Bitcoin doesn't need that. But definitely I want to increase block time, decrease. So maybe make the blocks every 1 minute, because waiting for 30 minutes for speed confirmation, sometimes it's so, I don't know, you just sitting and looking, oh yeah, my block is mine. Yeah, cool. So yeah, decreasing block time. Definitely want that on Bitcoin.
10 times faster blocks would also mean 10 times more transactions per second, to put it this way, more throughput. But I guess that would require a big change, like a hard fork, and also a decrease of mining rewards to keep the 21 million cap intact.
Yeah, but you said about magic wand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if I had a magic wand, yeah, that's what I wanted.
I mean, there would be trade-offs, but I think most users, like 90 something percent, would not be affected. I think that Litecoin proved to us that it's not such a big deal to wait for 10 minutes. That's a very conservative amount of time. I think the first version of Bitcoin, which got launched in 2008, like the alpha version, had 15-minute blocks. And then Satoshi decided to decrease to 10. And honestly, we have some very interesting research happening nowadays. Like, once you discover DAGs and stuff like that, you'll have your mind blown. I don't know if Bitcoin will ever get that, but it's still interesting how much you can push one design to make it more efficient and faster.
Yeah, I think still overall Bitcoin and other blockchains, all of the technology is still very young, and we probably will see a lot of innovations happening in recent years.
Yeah, something that we also see is that more blockchains are sort of tokenizing BTC. I think Ethereum was the opener or the first one to do this with WBTC, which is not really cypherpunk or trustless because it's custodied by BitGo, but it's still, so if Lightning Network has 4,000 BTC, WBTC has like 25 times more than 100,000 Bitcoin that's locked in it. And it seems like the users just accept the trade-off that they get extra programmability and DeFi features for a bit more trust that they have to put into the way that this is set up. But there are two ways basically in which we can extend what Bitcoin does. We either improve the Bitcoin network or we move the BTC to other networks. Like lock it and issue it on something else that gives us more advantages. And maybe it will be sidechains, maybe it will be blockchains with tokens of their own, which have different incentives. But if Bitcoin is going to be the money, I guess these are the two paths forward. We can either make it work to have everything that we need, which I think is the preferable solution and is the reason why I promote drive chains, or we can end up in a world where there's going to be a need for an Ethereum, there's going to be a need for something with privacy like Zcash or Monero or whatever, and there's going to be a need for maybe super scale like Caspa or whatever is very scalable.
Yeah, but actually, regarding this, like wrap Bitcoins on other chains, so some Bitcoin layer 2s or just get projects who positions themselves as a Bitcoin layer 2s is something similar to Ethereum with bridged BTC, but they just like saying that they are Bitcoin layer 2s and scaling solutions for BTC. I think that it can work like it will be not just like a one approach in the future. So we still have a lot of different approaches, some experimental technologies, and so on. Yeah, but at the moment, so like the biggest, I think, use case still just like a holding and speculating on BTC. But we'll see. And like as we discussed, ultimate goal is to create some Bitcoin economy with some native mechanics, how to use Bitcoin and support its adoption.
Coming back to the topic of Stroom, what is the best way for listeners to go and check out the Stroom network and find out more about how this works and how much they can potentially earn in yield by participating?
So currently I think the best solution is to subscribe our Twitter, and we keep it's updated and share all our news there. Also, we have a Telegram group and Discord, but the main idea of a Telegram group and Discord just get to ask some questions and communicate with the team. So all information and news you can find on our Twitter, and also you can check our website. It's like a Stroom.network, and you can find all our user interfaces there.
Anything else? Any other resources that people might find interesting? Like, how can they follow you personally, maybe to get to know more about what you're doing?
I think you can follow us on Twitter as well. And also you can check the statistics of our node on 1ML or on Ambos. To have more numbers. But I think Twitter is the best way to follow us.
Is there anything that you guys would like to say before we wrap this up?
So we think that anyway, the future of Bitcoin is bright, and we think that this is the best ecosystem to build in something and to work with. And this a lot of innovations last years show that there are huge interest for BTC, and everything only begins. And Bitcoin is a big hope for our financial system and for our civilization as well, I think.
As for me, I also think that the Bitcoin has a bright future, and we already, at least 2 years ago when we spoke, Bitcoin price was much lower than today, as usual, which is great. But also, I believe that everyone needs this open financial world where you can access a lot of financial products and you can choose. And maybe it is a little bit more risky than trusting your money to some banks which are regulated and they are protected. In crypto there is no such protection, so it's much more risky. But I believe all of that will come with more products being launched in this ecosystem. And maybe also we need to pay more attention in educating people how to deal with crypto, because in general I believe that's great for humanity, because it's more open and inclusive and just for everyone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But it's more open and inclusive as long as we keep it this way and we don't decide that we should filter it to basically create two classes of transactions and say this is fine and this is not fine. Or if it comes from this address, it's good, and if it comes from the other one, then we should try to keep it away. Anyway, no politics here. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as I can, even if it makes me crazy. Thank you very much, guys. Once again, Slava and Ros from the Stroom Network. Check it out. And also, I want to thank Artem once again for setting up this interview. And once again, thanks to the sponsors, Layer 2 Labs, Bitcoin.com News, Noance.com, and Sideshift.ai. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Thank you for inviting us. Really appreciate it.